All right, and here we are. I refactored the scripts to test this configuration. All we're trying to do is use the router on a stick and also create an ether channel between the router and the switch. Let's just go over this. Let's just go over these scripts real quick. First, we got the router configuration and the switch configuration. This is just boilerplate This is just boilerplate from previous Cisco classes, creating passwords, put that no IP domain lookup to prevent typos from searching for domains, creating passwords, securing the system, putting in a little message of the day in there. Anytime I can reference RoboCop from 1987, classic film, I do. Pretty much the same thing with the switch configuration here. I'll update the date here probably to sometime in August. That way I don't confuse myself of anything. And then, yeah, setting the time to 3 o'clock, just old habit. Back when I was getting my CCNA, taking it at Tulsa Tech, I definitely wanted to be out the classroom by 3 p.m. If I was still in the class, I was working too hard. I needed to take a break, go home, think about the lab, come back tomorrow, continue working. Then we have setting up the router on a stick configuration. All we're doing on switch 1 is creating the VLANs and saving them, even making sure to create a default VLAN and the management VLAN. And then after we got the management VLAN created, we create the management interface with a default gateway. And then from there, we just basically assign what access ports are going to be using what VLAN on the switch. In this case, once again, simple boilerplate from previous classes, from previous labs, just grabbing this random fast Ethernet port number 6, setting it to be accessed, and then just assigning all the VLANs to it, making sure it's activated with that no shut command, and then exit to make sure everything saves properly. Then from there, using the gigabit Ethernet ports, basically making those trunk ports, assigning the native VLAN and letting it know that all the VLANs are allowed, making sure it's all activated with that no shut, and then saving it. Then from there, it's going over to the router and configuring the router with the interfaces. We're just going to use, I'm just going to use that G0/0/1 port, assigning it the sub interface and the VLANs to those sub interfaces there, those default gateways. And then once again, making sure that G0/0/1 is activated. I like to go the extra mile for my sanity and make sure I put descriptions in whenever possible. Okay, so from there, we've configured the router, configured the switch, we've done the router on the stick, we've assigned the ports, we've created the VLANs, all that stuff. Now it's time to try to create the ether channel. What I did with that, in order to prevent confusion, I just created 2 separate scripts, one for the switch, one for the router. So we configured everything. All we got to do is shut down the interfaces, those gigabit Ethernet interfaces. Then we make sure that those gigabit Ethernet ports are in trunk mode. Then from there, we configure the ether channel. We just go right into LACP mode, make sure that it's active. And then we actually create the interface, port channel interface. We bring it up, we make sure it's in trunk mode, and then we activate it with that no shutdown. And then from there, we jump right back into the actual physical interfaces, the actual physical ports themselves, with those gigabit Ethernet ports, and make sure those are still activated with that no shutdown. Same commands for the router and for the switch. I just created separate two separate text blocks because of the different ports, the different interface ranges. And then here's what creating an Ethernet channel, or here's what creating an Ether channel looks like. Just one big block of text, just random boilerplate from a previous class. And then in order to prevent me confusing myself even further, here's all the scripts without the steps, just blocks of text to copy and paste. Copy and paste from the router, copy and paste for the switch. Make sure to label all the text blocks properly so I know what is being pasted where. Switch, and then the router. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Up next, all we got to do is copy and paste these blocks of text into the router, into the switch, in Cisco Packet Tracer to test that configuration. Can we, once again, create router on a stick, create all the VLANs, and then from there create an Ether channel between the router and the switch? Never did that in class. I just created Ether channels between different switches, other devices, but never between a router and a switch. So this will be exciting. We may all learn something.